This is $60,000. Let's pretend this equals Jeff Bezos' net worth of $186 billion. This is what Oprah's net worth would look like, $850. Gary Vee would have a whopping $50. Mr. Beast's pocket change coming in at around $18. A millionaire would have about 33 cents. And the average net worth of a 35-year-old would be one single penny. This is Buc-ee's. It's the largest gas station in the world. It was started back in the 80s by a guy named Beaver. I kid you not. He started this gas station south of Houston. It was kind of just small and dinky. It kind of just looked like any other gas station. He teamed up with a business partner, and together they opened about 20 of these little gas stations near Houston until 2003, when they decided that they wanted to shake things up a little bit. And they opened a store in Luling, Texas, which is next to San Antonio. This gas station was big. Around this time, they also started selling t-shirts and Buc-ee's merch and their famous beaver nuggets. And you could arguably say that around this time is when the Buc-ee's cult following started to cultivate. After 2003, they started opening many more of these big 50,000 square foot stores with hundreds of gas pumps. Eventually, they opened one up in Alabama and then Florida and Georgia. Now there's 40 plus of these stores across the nation. This is Buc-ee's. It's the company opened their first store outside of Texas in Alabama, and within the first few weeks of being officially opened, they were sued. And this is why they were sued.
Buc-ee's gas prices there in Alabama are too low.
So apparently in Alabama, there was a law that was passed in 1984 that prohibits big retailers from selling gasoline to the public for less than it costs to buy, which makes sense for every other normal gas station. The difference with Buc-ee's is the vast majority of their profit comes from in-store sales. And when that's the case, a smart strategy is to lower the cost of your gas to get more people on the property, which in turn is going to get more people in the store, and they're going to be buying more of your beaver nuggets and Buc-ee's merch. And at the end of the day, that's what Buc-ee's does. Other big gas stations do this as well. But when you're up against smaller local gas stations, this is where it can really hurt their business. The company's most successful marketing campaign is the fact that they have very clean restrooms. They won some national awards over the years, and I have to say, if you haven't been to their restrooms, it's a pretty amazing experience. Not only are they absolutely flawlessly cleaned all the time, the bathroom stalls are in and of themselves a private room. They are separated by very thick layers of concrete. The doors are actual doors with solid handles, ones that you would find in an actual home. And there's always someone in there 24/7, making sure things are being run right and everything is cleaned perfectly. While this company is loved by a lot of people, it has definitely had some pushback over the years. A couple years ago, when they opened a store in Denton next to Dallas, the whole entire community started an uprising against Buc-ee's. Their biggest issue is that they didn't want them to open it right in the city.
Why? Why did you pick this up?
And the thing about a place like Buc-ee's is it would survive perfectly fine in more rural areas on the side of an interstate or a freeway. But the problem is they have to staff this operation. That includes hundreds of employees working there at any given time. Those are numbers that you're not going to be able to feasibly manage out in the middle of nowhere. You have to be in a more concentrated area, usually next to a city where there's a bigger population, especially of high school and college students.
If I'm hiring 150 or 200 employees, you have to have a substantial population base.
While this company is loved, the Titanic is disappearing at an alarming rate. Scientists are estimating that it will be completely gone within 20 years, and this is due to it being eaten away by bacteria and other marine life. New footage shows the captain's bathtub, a favorite image among Titanic enthusiasts. It's almost completely dissolved at this point. The Titanic currently resides about 2 miles below the North Atlantic, and while there have been many schemes proposed to raise the Titanic, with its current condition, there's just no way that can happen without severe damage. Not to mention, letting the ship rest and disappear in peace is probably the more ethical thing to do. The Titanic is...
Fleas and ticks, listen up!
Mr. Bobby Land.
In the UK, there is an abandoned theme park called Dunblobin.
Visit Mr. Blobby's house.
Dunblobin was originally made for little kids, but now it's completely taken over by nature. This abandoned park was one of many parks created by Noel Edmond and his fictional character, Mr. Blobby. Back in the 90s, Noel had a very popular TV show called Noel's House Party. It got so popular that Mr. Blobby, the main character, got its own set of theme parks. After about a decade, the parks went bankrupt. One was converted into a hotel, most were leveled and the land was sold, but for some reason, they decided to leave Dunblobin intact. People say the park is now haunted, and ghost hunters gather there in hopes to see something supernatural. But in my opinion, the creepiest part of this story isn't the abandoned park. It's Mr. Blobby. In 1950, Whataburger opened its first location in Corpus Christi, Texas. But what most people don't know is that around the same time, 1,200 miles across the country, another Whataburger was selling its first burger. Both Whataburger and Whataburger sold burgers for the next 20 years before they discovered each other. Once they learned of each other's existence, the two restaurants discussed merging into one company, but eventually decided to peacefully coexist. While one of these restaurants clearly outshined the other, the Virginia-based Whataburger is still in operation today. I think it'd be really cool if someone did a blind taste test of the two. In 1950, Whataburger
Living Forever has
In 1998, a salvage company called RMS Inc. raised a 20-ton section of the Titanic out of the North Atlantic. Now, this section is known as the Big Piece and was originally part of the starboard side of the Titanic. And it broke off when the ship hit the iceberg over 100 years ago. RMS Inc. received a lot of backlash for raising the piece. Relatives of Titanic victims say the company was tampering with a gravesite. This didn't stop RMS from going on to raise more than 5,000 artifacts from the wreckage. What do you think? Was RMS out of line for this, or is this type of preservation worth it? This is Mr. Blobby. And believe it or not, this terrifying creature was once a beloved and very popular children's character in the UK. Mr. Blobby is as popular in the UK as Barney is in America. He was originally featured on a TV show called Noel's House Party in the early 90s. Mr. Blobby's popularity grew so much that they opened an entire fleet of children's theme parks in his name. All of the parks went bankrupt after about 10 years, and they're now considered haunted. Now, I don't usually believe in places being haunted, but if this thing created a theme park, then it has to be haunted. This is...
Oh my God.
There is a secret side of Disney World the company doesn't want you to see. If you look at a map of the park, there's a little green spot in the middle of Bay Lake. Now, there's no description of what it is, and it's completely off limits to everyone, including employees. Around 20 years ago, this mysterious island was actually another Disney park called Discovery Island. You'd take a boat from shore, arrive at the island, and basically look at exotic birds. Fast forward to 1999, Animal Kingdom opens, and it's basically a bigger and easier to get to version of Discovery Island. This sparked the very quick decline of the island. Today, it's abandoned and in ruins, completely overrun by nature. It's also heavily guarded. If you're anywhere near Bay Lake, you can be assured that you're being watched. It makes you wonder if there's more to this island than Disney is letting on. There is a secret about Disneyland the company doesn't want you to know. If you rode the Pirates of the Caribbean ride back in the 1960s, you would be impressed with how realistic the skeletons looked. That's because when this ride opened at Disneyland, all of the skeletons on the attraction were actual human bones. Now, they tried to install fake skeletons, but Walt Disney thought they looked too fake. So instead, they worked with the medical center at UCLA to get their hands on the real thing. Today, Disneyland says that there are no longer any human remains on the ride, but some people are unconvinced. The bed chamber skull seems to have the most speculation around it. Insiders confirmed that it was in fact real, and others have said that this skull, in particular, was donated by a former employee.
How do I amp up Moon's?
This 110-year-old ship was just found near Antarctica, and it's one of the world's most well-preserved vessels to date. It belonged to explorer Ernest Shackleton, who got the ship stuck in the Weddell Sea's thick ice. Everyone on board abandoned the ship before it sank. The captain kept records of where he thought the shipwreck might be, and according to the team of scientists who found it, he was right. Once they were close to where they believed it was, they used an underwater search vehicle to locate it. This ship was so well preserved that the name etched across its stern is clearly visible in the footage. The extremely icy water is why it's in such good condition for its age. This 110-year-old ship was just found near Antarctica, and it's one of the world's most. There is a forest in North Carolina that is home to the Yogi Bear graveyard. Yes, this Yogi Bear. Some say there's no explanation for these statues being here, but there's always an explanation. In the 1960s, the cartoon got so popular that the creators started a Yogi Bear restaurant to try and capitalize off the character's fame. The restaurants didn't do well at all, and most of them ended up closing. And this left the owners with a whole lot of statues of Yogi the Bear and other characters from the show. And instead of sending them all to a dump, the company seemed to just dispose of them in a forest. And this area very quickly became known as the Yogi Bear Graveyard. On a side note, if you ever want to try the Yogi Bear restaurant, there's one left in operation. There is a forest.
Should I be no?
This is Norman.
We have Norman.
Norman was created about 18 years ago to star in a music video for the band Interpol. Now, for some reason, people loved him. But unfortunately, Norman went missing for 10 years. In 2014, an auction was listed on iCollector.com under the title Animatronic Creepy Ghoul Puppet from Music Video. And lo and behold, after 10 years, Norman had reappeared. And he looked terrible. Despite having a loyal fan base, no one purchased him, and he went missing again for another 5 years, until a YouTuber managed to track him down and buy him.
We have Norman.
This is Norman. This is proof that your devices are always listening to you. Have you ever had a conversation about a product and then you started seeing ads for it everywhere? Now, these big tech companies claim they don't listen, but a YouTuber by the name of Michelo proved otherwise in a live stream a few years ago. He held up a piece of paper with a subject he had not talked about yet. He visited a few websites to see what ads they were currently showing.
And here we have a breast cancer ad, is that right?
He closed everything on his computer and started talking about the subject.
All right, so dog toys. Maybe some dog toys near me. Affordable dog toys, that'd be really good for me.
He went back to the same websites he visited before, and lo and behold...
Oh my God! It's right there! Dog toy ads, again!
He also received an ad for Ford.
Affordable dog toys, that'd be really good for me. Most affordable.
It makes you wonder. This is proof that your devices are... There are human remains all over Disney World. Multiple people have confessed to spreading their loved ones' ashes all over the parks.
She had told us she wanted them on the front lawn of the Disney castle.
This has become such a common occurrence that Disney has a special radio code they use when they discover human ashes.
You know, this is what would have made my mom, what she would have wanted.
There are human remains all... This is an abandoned aquarium. A pair of urban explorers took this eerie footage when they broke into an unnamed aquarium in Spain. They found a decomposed squid and octopus inside shattered glass jars. They also found starfish that didn't decay like the other animals. The most appalling find was the remains of a reef shark inside a broken display case. The shark was likely treated beforehand, which gave it a zombie-like appearance when it started to finally decay. This is an abandoned aquarium. A pair of urban explorers took this eerie footage when they broke into an unnamed aquarium in Spain. They found a decomposed squid and octopus.
Quick story about how I almost killed the game I spent 5 years building. We pushed an update on...
Have you ever wondered how this magic trick was done? You know it probably has something to do with his arm touching the bus, but it's still confusing to look at. Well, it turns out that the simplest explanation is the right one. The secret is pretty straightforward when you start to notice that his right arm never moves, like not even his fingers move. You can also notice the bump in the front of his shirt, which is his actual right arm. The one attached to the bus is actually a metal rod connected to a harness that he sits in. Have you ever wondered how this magic trick was done? You know it probably has something to do with his arm touching the bus, but it's still confusing to look at. Well, it turns... This is Rosie the shark. In 1997, Rosie got... How did David Blaine bite this quarter in half? How did David Blaine bite this quarter in half? Well, if you thought it had something to do with the actual quarter, you'd be right. Some people think he swaps the coin out in the middle of the trick, and others think it has something to do with the metal. But he actually uses a gimmick coin to perform this trick. It's made up of two parts, held together by an elastic band. And once you see how it works, this trick becomes a little less impressive. How did David Blaine bite this quarter in half? Do you notice something weird about how Putin walks? He swings his left arm freely, but his right arm seems like it's stuck to his side. Some people have speculated that because this is a sign of early Parkinson's, Putin might be at risk. But the real reason he walks this way has nothing to do with his health. Putin was a KGB officer for 16 years, and in the KGB manual, it spells out the specific way officers should walk so they can always be prepared to handle their weapons. This style of walking perfectly describes the way Putin walks today. Other long-term KGB officers also seem to walk the same way. Do you notice something weird about... Do you know what happens when you land on free parking in Monopoly? You win the jackpot in the middle of the board, right? Wrong. I'm willing to bet you have no idea what the rules actually say about free parking. In fact, Hasbro has come out and stated that they get hundreds of calls about this very rule every year. So what is it? What happens when you land on free parking? The answer is nothing. Do you know what happens when you land on free parking? Have you ever wondered how David Blaine levitated? Well, I have the answer, and it's not what you would expect. David Blaine is performing the Balducci levitation. In order to pull this off, your audience has to be watching the trick from the perfect angle. That's why in this shot, you can see some people freaking out, and others who aren't viewing it from the right angle, they aren't as impressed. It's also why the camera never shows his feet during these specific shots. But hold on, what's going on here? In these shots, he's straight up flying. Well, I know what he's doing here as well, and in part 2 of this video that I'm posting tomorrow, I'll give you the answer. So how the heck did David Blaine levitate? In part 1, I showed you that he was performing the Balducci levitation. But what's going on here? This and this are not the same thing. Well, look closely at this clip. He stands at an angle about 4 feet away from the audience. But when he actually levitates, he's no longer at an angle, and he's a good 20 feet away. In this clip, notice how the sun is spilling all over the road. But when he levitates just 4 seconds later, the sunlight is gone. These are called pickup shots, and they're filmed at a different time than the rest of the video. David Blaine performed the Balducci levitation the entire time, but later, he and his producers went back to the same location, rigged up some kind of wire lift, found some extras, and made you believe that this man was flying. So what happened to Ronald McDonald? It seems like not too long ago, this guy was everywhere, and now we hardly see him. This is the first interpretation of Ronald McDonald, and it was directly inspired by Bozo the Clown. At the time, clowns were very popular, which is why McDonald's chose one as the face of the company. But over the next few decades, clowns started to lose their popularity as children's entertainment. It was the clownpocalypse of 2016 that really hurt the reputation of Ronald McDonald. The company announced that he would be taking a break from the limelight, although they claim he's still working behind the scenes. As long as they don't bring this guy back, I think we'll be okay. What happened to...
So yummy.
This is what Stitch looks like in Disney World, and I'm gonna explain to you why this terrifying thing exists. In 2002, the film was such a success that Disney rushed its entrance into the park. The attraction was called Stitch's Great Escape, and it featured a 39-inch Stitch animatronic that at the time was the most complex animatronic in the world. But unfortunately for Disney, Stitch's Great Escape was a major flop. It was eventually called the worst attraction that Disney had ever made. In 2016, the company said that the attraction would enter a seasonal operation and be temporarily closed. But then these photos leaked online, making us think that this attraction might be gone for good. This is what Stitch looks like in Disney World. Have you ever wondered how this trick is done? Well, if you thought it had something to do with the actual phone, you'd be wrong. Notice how you never see this trick performed with the phone screen off. That's because the secret lies in this transparent piece of plastic. It's carefully placed over the phone, and the scarf is guided through it. The scarf is actually wrapped around the bottom of the phone, and when it's pulled at an upward angle, the result makes you ask the question, have you ever wondered how this trick Why does this animatronic Ronald McDonald exist? This clown is creepy enough as it is, but for some reason, a few of the restaurants decided it would be a good idea to install animatronics in their dining areas. Now, believe it or not, 20 years ago, creepy stuff like this was kind of popular. But even then, these animatronics ended up scaring away customers. People started avoiding the restaurants who decided to have them installed. It makes you wonder, why does this animatronic Ronald Mc... Have you ever wondered how this magic trick was done? It kind of looks like this trick, except we actually see the magician walking around beforehand. So the explanation can't be an elaborate hidden mechanism underneath his clothing, right? Wrong. This magician sticks his cane into a metal base hidden underneath the rug. The cane then connects to a rod that goes up his sleeve and is attached to a back brace. This back brace is fixed to a harness which allows the magician to use his core strength to lift his legs. Watch the trick again and see if you can notice. Have you ever wondered
Oreo Reese's Cookies prove
there is something creepy about the Starbucks logo? This is the original artwork. Now, most people assume it's a mermaid, but it's actually called a siren. Mermaids are peaceful creatures, but sirens are violent. They used their beauty to seduce sailors to come with them in the water. In earlier logos, the siren's chest was bare and her split tail was spread open. This depiction was not by accident. Over the years, the company has distanced itself from the old logo, but you can still make out what the original intention was. If you look closely, you'll see that there is something creepy. This phone is the most destructive weapon of all time, and it recently sold in an auction for $244,000. So what makes this thing so destructive? Well, the name on the back might give you a clue. Most of Hitler's commands for the last 2 years of World War II were made from this phone. This inanimate object was used to send millions to their deaths. This means that this phone is the most Have you heard the conspiracy about Mattress Firm? People only need to buy a new mattress every 8 years, but there seems to be a Mattress Firm on every corner. This makes no sense. Theories online indicate that the company is involved in money laundering and that these stores exist as a way for them to not get caught. But the actual truth is a little less exciting. Mattress Firm makes so much money on their mattresses that they typically only need to sell one a day to make rent. So more stores equal more sales. Now you can ask your friends, have you heard the Is Criss Angel actually walking on water here? Notice how the camera stays to the side and at a low angle. This is to distract you from what's actually happening. Basically, they put a bunch of plexiglass platforms across the pool. The gaps underneath give room for swimmers to go between, and the wider pieces of plexiglass allow for shots straight down into the water. Watch this trick again. Do you recognize some of these characters? This is the original cast of the long-forgotten McDonaldland, a fictional fantasy world created to entertain children. It was eventually used as the inspiration for McDonald's Play Place, because nothing says fun like playing in a prison. Many of the characters of McDonaldland were a direct ripoff of a popular children's show called H.R. Pufnstuf, and McDonald's was eventually sued. As for McDonaldland, well, it's pretty much forgotten. I mean, just ask yourself, do you recognize? A few days ago, I showed you how this trick was done, and I was wrong. This is how I originally explained it. Cane, base, rods, back brace, harness. All that's left for the magician to do is use his core strength to pull his legs up. Well, this magician, known as Special Head, left a comment on my TikTok. He also made a response video proving that my theory is wrong. There appears to be no base or harness. In fact, Special Head has some other videos online where he just touches someone's head and levitates. So what's going on here? What's the real explanation to this trick? The answer is that I have no idea. This is the story of the roller coaster that fell into the ocean. The ride was called Starjet and was located on the Casino Pier in New Jersey. In 2012, the East Coast was devastated by Hurricane Sandy, which eventually made its way to the Casino Pier. The storm collapsed a large section of it, which ended up dumping the Starjet roller coaster into the Atlantic Ocean. Despite these events, the roller coaster remained largely intact and served as a symbol of the destruction of the storm. This is the...
They put a stick